Hello students, Sai Ram. Welcome to your history class. Children, in your previous lesson, you have learned about the Western tradition of historiography. Today, we will begin with our new chapter where we will learn about the Indian tradition of historiography in the lesson Historiography, Indian Tradition. Children, in this lesson, we will be covering the following topics, that is tradition of Indian historiography, various ideological frameworks. Children, these are the great Indian epics, that is Ramayana, Mahabharata. Children, you have learnt about this great epics. You might have watched in the television or you might have read in the storybooks. Yes, you might have also read about evolution of man, that is the transition that has taken place. You have learned through the storybooks. You might watched in the television, or might be your grandparents might have narrated you the stories about them, right? But have you ever wondered that how people have preserved history when writing was not yet invented? Now these people, how they used to do? They used to transfer the information orally. They used to repeatedly narrate the stories to the younger generation. That is, it was done orally. So let us learn about historiography in the ancient period. In the ancient period in India, memories of great deeds of our ancestors, mythological lore, social transitions, etc., they were preserved with the help of oral recitals. As I already told you, when writing was not yet invented, so how our people have preserved history? They have done it orally. The information was passed orally to the younger generation. So in the ancient period in India, memories of great deeds of our ancestors, mythological lore, social transitions, etc., they were preserved with the help of oral recitals. Children, you have learnt about the Harappan seal in the Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization. You had seen the artifacts, that is the potteries. Then these are some of the dancing doll, that is the idol, bronze idol, which was found in the Harappan excavations by the archaeologists. Okay, and this is also the picture of a priest, which was basically found in the excavations. So in the Harappan civilization, there were various things which were found, that is the Harappan seals, then the bronze idols, jewelry, artifacts. All these things were found in the Harappan civilization. But children, have you ever wondered that whenever ancestors were transferring the information orally to the people, then how they had started documenting their history? How did they start writing about it? Now it was in the form of inscriptions. Okay, so in the Harappan seals, you can see some inscriptions which are engraved. So it was in the form of inscriptions. So writing had started developing. The Indians had mastered this art of writing, okay, in the form of inscriptions. So the inscriptions on the Harappan seals and the artifacts, they confirm that Indians, they had mastered the art of writing as early as 3rd millennium BCE, or perhaps before that. So the pictures which I had shown you just now, they were about Harappan civilization, that is the Harappan seals, which had a animal figure on it and something written on it, some inscriptions on it, right? So the inscriptions which were found on the Harappan seals and other artifacts, they confirm that Indians had mastered this art of writing as early as 3rd millennium BCE, or might be before that. Children, this is the Harappan script. However, the Harappan script is not yet deciphered. What is this deciphered? Deciphered means it is not yet translated or it is not decoded yet. So, inscriptions were formed in the Harappan seals and various artifacts that confirmed that Indians, they had mastered the art of writing in the 3rd millennium BCE or before that, right? So that was about the inscriptions. Now, the earliest written documents of historical nature were found in India in the form of inscriptions. They are dated to 3rd century BCE, that is Emperor Ashok Maurya's time. Who was Emperor Ashok Maurya? Okay, he was the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya, that is Chandragupta Maurya. He was a founder of the Maurya dynasty. So Emperor Ashoka. Okay. Now, edicts of Emperor Ashoka on natural rocks. You can see some inscriptions on the natural rocks here. So these are the edicts. That is, some edicts means some royal orders or something if they want to give. So they used to inscribe it on the natural rocks or also on the pillars. So these are edicts of Emperor Ashoka on pillars. So what are edicts? Edicts are the royal orders. Okay. Children, on this map, you can see some of the edicts of Ashoka, major rock edicts, then you can see some pillar edicts, minor rock edicts. So let us see which are the major rock edicts. Now major rock edicts are found at Kalsi, Kandahar, okay, Girnar, Sopara. Pillar edicts you can see at Amravati, then you can see at Lauria Araj, Lumbini. So this is some information about edicts of Ashoka, which are major rock edicts and pillar edicts. Edicts are what, children? They are the royal orders, or you can say the official orders, which are inscribed on the natural rocks and the pillars. Children, from 1st century CE, inscriptions they begin to occur on coins, metal images, sculptures, and also on copper plates. So where can we find the inscriptions? From the 1st century CE, inscriptions begin to occur on coins, metal images, sculptures, and also on copper plates. These are the coins of Gupta dynasty, and wherein you can see the image, or you can say what is inscribed, the kings or the queen. It is inscribed on the coins of the Gupta dynasty. Then this is about the temple architecture, or you can see the sculpture wherein you can see the inscriptions. Okay, inscriptions found on the copper plate. So these were the inscriptions which were found on the coins, on the copper plate, on the sculptures. Okay, the inscriptions which you just now saw on the coins, on the sculptures, on the copper plate, through that what information we will derive? Okay, we get to know about the information, about the important historical information about dates of various kings, dynastic genealogies, that is the ancestry family tree, territorial extent, that is the extension of the empire, from which place to which place, the extension of the empire of the particular king of a particular dynasty. So through these inscriptions we get the important historical information about dates of various kings, dynastic genealogies, and territorial extent, and also administration, that is how was administration during that time, political events, social organizations, climate and famines. So we get to know about all these things through the inscriptions, which were on the coins, on the copper plates, etc. Let us learn about this Sohagora copper plate, which was found in Gorakhpur, that is in Uttar Pradesh. So children, where was that copper plate found? That was found in district Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh. Now let us learn something more about that copper plate which was found in Sohagora, that is in Uttar Pradesh. Children, this is about the Sohagora copper plate. The Sohagora copper plate was found at Sohagora district, Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. It is supposed to be from the Mauryan period. The inscription on it is in Brahmi script. The symbols known as tree in railing and mountain at the beginning of the inscription also occur on punched mark coins. Another symbol which looks like a structure erected on 4 pillars is supposed to be indicative of a granary. The inscription records a royal order that grains stored in the granary should be distributed carefully. It is supposed to be suggestive of precautions taken in the times of a famine. So children, where is this copper plate found? It is found at Sohagora, district Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. It is supposed to be from the Mauryan period and the inscription on it is in the Brahmi script. Now the symbols, that is tree in railing and the mountains, is found at the beginning of the inscription. They also occur in the punchmark coins. Another symbol which looks like a structure erected on a 4 pillars is supposed to be a granary, and the inscription, it records a royal order that grain stored in that should be distributed carefully. It is a precautionary measure in the times of famine. Children, you learnt about the Sohagora copper plate which was found at Gorakhpur district in Uttar Pradesh. Now let us learn about the ancient Indian literatures that are very important sources of history. The great Indian epic Ramayana, one of the most important source of history. Mahabharata, Puranas, Jain and Buddhist text, travelogue by foreign travelers. These are the very important sources of history. Writings of biographies of kings and dynastic histories, they mark an important step in Indian historiography. Harshacharit was written in 7th century CE by Banabhat, is about King Harshavardhan's or King Harsha's biography, which was written by Banabhat. Now Banabhat has written about King Harshavardhan. About King Harshavardhan, it is written by Banabhat, that is Harshacharita is written by Banabhat, which describes about the King Harshavardhan or Vardhan dynasty. Harshachitra, that is written by Banabhat, okay, it portrays a realistic picture of social, economic, political, religious and cultural life during king's times, that is King Harshavardhan's period or during his time. That Harshachitra, which is written by Banabhat, it explains or it portrays a realistic picture of social, economical, political, religious and cultural life during King Harshavardhan's times. Now let us start about historiography in the medieval period. We had learnt about the ancient period. Now we will begin with the historiography in the medieval period. The style of writing Rajatarangini, the history of Kashmir by Kalhana in the 12th century CE, is quite close to the concept of modern historiography. Now children, you had learned about modern historiography, that before writing about history, all the documents are very carefully scrutinized, they are very carefully examined. So Kalhana, he himself says that he wrote this text after critically examining various sources like inscriptions, coins, remains of ancient monuments, dynastic records and local traditions. So even the Kalhana's Rajatarangini which he had written, he had done it with properly or carefully examining the various sources like inscriptions, coins, remains of ancient monuments, dynastic records and local traditions. In the medieval India, the historians in the court of Muslim rulers, they were influenced by Arabic and Persian historiography. Among them, Zayuddin Barani, he holds a very important place. Now the book which is written by him is Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi. In that book, he has clearly explained what is the purpose of historiography. In his book, Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi, as I already told you, he has stated about what is the purpose of writing history or what is the purpose of historiography. That was written by Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi, was written by Zayuddin Barani, he has expanded the scope of historiography. Let us see what he says. Barani expanded the scope of historiography. Now, according to him, it is a duty of the historian that he should not limit his recording only to the ruler's valor and policies of welfare, but he should also write about the ruler's failings and incorrect policies. So, according to him, it should not be about only just praising the king. If there are any incorrect policies or any other methods which are adopted by the king, it should also state about the incorrect policies. So, according to him, the duty of the historian is not only limited to recording the ruler's valors and policies of welfare, but he should also write about the ruler's failings and his incorrect policies. He further says that historians should take into consideration what are the impacts of teaching of the wise, the learned, and the saints on the cultural life of the people. So he has expanded the scope of historiography. He says that the historian should also take what is the impact of the teachings of the wise, the learned, and the saints on the cultural life of the people. For the historians in the Mughal courts, praising the emperors and exhibition of loyalty became more important. The custom of adding suitable poetic quotes and beautiful pictures was also introduced. Now, these are some of the books written by the Muslim historians in the medieval India. That is, Hasan Nizami had wrote the book Tajul Masir. Amir Timur had written Tuzuk-i-Timuri. Tariq-e-Mubarak Shahi, the book written by Yahya bin Ahmad Sirindi, and Tabaqat-e-Nasri, written by Minhaj-e-Siraj. Now that provide us these accounts, they provide us about the historic information of the Sultanate period. Let us once again revise the books written by the Muslim historians in the medieval India. Hasan Nizami had written Tajul Masir. Amir Timur had written Tuzuk-i-Timuri. Tariq-e-Mubarak Shahi by Yahya bin Ahmad Sirindi, and Tabaqat-e-Nasri by Minhaj-e-Siraj. So these accounts, it provide us the historic information of the Sultanate period. Babur was the founder of the Mughal Empire, and he had wrote an autobiography entitled Tuzuk-i-Babari. It contains the description of battles fought by him. Babur also recorded his minute observations of various regions and cities travelled by him, including the local economy, customs, and the flora. So Tuzuk-i-Babari, which was written by Babur, it contains the description of battles which were fought by him, and also he recorded his minute observations of various regions and cities travelled by him, including the local economy, customs, and the flora. Abul Fazl's Akbarnama is also very important from the viewpoint of critical historiography. Now, his method of collecting authentic historical documents and the scrutiny is looked upon as devoid of bias and hence realistic. So, Abul Fazl's Akbarnama is also very important. Now, he has collected all the information that is valid, that is authentic by historical documents, and scrutiny, that is what he has carefully examined at historical documents, which is looked upon as devoid. There is no biasness, it is devoid, free from bias, and hence it is realistic. Children, now let us learn what is Bakhar. Bakhar is an important type of historical document of medieval times. Okay, so what is a Bakhar? It is an important type of historical document of the medieval times. Now, what does it contain? It contains eulogies of the heroes and stories of historic events, battles, lives of great men. What is eulogies? Eulogies is a speech or a praise for somebody. It means when you're praising somebody, right? So that is a speech or a piece of writing which is used for praising someone. So it contains eulogies of the heroes and stories of historic events, battles, lives of great men. Now there are Marathi Bakhars of various types. Let us learn about them. First is Sabasat Bakhar, which was written by Krishnaji Anand Sabasat during the reign of Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj. So the first Marathi Bakhar, that is Sabasat Bakhar, written by Krishnaji Anand Sabasat during the reign of Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj. But this Bakhar is very important for getting information about the rule of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So which is that Bakhar? Sabasat Bakhar, written by Krishnaji Anand Sabasat. It gives us information about the rule of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Though it was written during the reign of Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj, but it gives us information about the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Next is Bhau Saibansi Bakhar, which describes the battle of Panipat. That is another Bakhar entitled Panipatachi Bakhar. It also describes about the same event. Okay, so one is Sabasat Bakhar, Bhau Saibansi Bakhar, that describes the battle of Panipat. Another Bakhar that is entitled as Panipatasi Bakhar, that also describes about the battle of Panipat. This is Bhau Saibansi Bakhar, that describes about the battle of Panipat. Next is Holkaransi Kaifiyat, which provides information about the Holkars and their contributions to the Maratha rule. So there are different Marathi Bakhars. Okay, Sabasat Bakhar, Bhau Saibansi Bakhar, which describes about the battle of Panipat, Holkaransi Kaifiyat. These are the different types of Marathi Bakhars. Bakhars can be divided into various types. Let us see which are the various types of Bakhars. It is about the state administration by kings. Basically, what is Bakhar? As I told you, it describes or it praises about anybody, okay, by someone. So it is about state administration by kings. It is about the history of a sect, description of events based on mythology, then about regarding grievances, dynastic history, biographies of kings. So these are the different types of Bakhars. Bakhars can be divided into various types. So it could be about the administration by a king. It could be about the dynastic history. It could be about the biography of king. Okay, so description of events. All this is recorded in the Bakhar, and it is a very important historical document of the medieval times. Children, in the exam you get such type of concept maps. Now we had learnt about Bakhar. So which are the different types of Marathi Bakhars, what is written in them. So information chronicled in Bakhar, that is Sabasat Bakhar, which is written by Krishnaji Anand Sabasat. It gives us information about the rule of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Then Bhau Saibansi Bakhar, it describes about the battle of Panipat. Panipatasi Bakhar, again it is describing about the battle of Panipat. Holkaransi Kaifiyat, information about Holkars and their contribution to the Maratha rule. So such type of concept maps you will get in your exam. Children, this is a small activity which I want you all to do. It is again a concept map, children. Now whatever you have learned till now, now see here children, purpose of historiography, that is Zayuddin Barani. He has written the book. Which book he has written? Tarikh-e-Firuz Shahi. The description of battles fought by Babur, Tazki Babri, it is written by Emperor Babur. History of Kashmir, Kalhana, that is Raja Tarangini. And reign of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Sabasat Bakhar, who has written that? Krishnaji Anand Sabasat. So these type of concept maps you will be getting in your examination. So you have to draw accordingly how it is given, same way you have to draw. Okay, just have a look. Okay, descriptions of battles fought by Babur, Emperor Babur, Tazki Babri. History of Kashmir, Kalhana, and it is Raja Tarangini. Then Sabasat Bakhar, written by Krishnaji Anand Sabasat. Purpose of historiography, Zayuddin Barani, Tarikh-e-Firuz Shahi. So such type of concept maps in the examination. So we have covered today the history of historiography in the ancient period and the medieval period. In the next class, we will be learning about the historiography in the modern period. Okay, so start revising the points. You know that you have to write all your answers in points, children. So now meet you in the next class. Have a good day, children. Thank you very much.